It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, folks, if you look at the gigantic Sharp interactive board, you'll see some familiar logos and a picture of a bed. We got Fujifilm, Katun, Konica Minolta, and a picture of a bed. Above those logos in the bed, I'm asking a question. If, in parentheses, when Fujifilm buys Minolta, would they tuck in Katun? I'm thinking, why the hell not? That's a strategy. I mean, when Katun started selling the Fujifilm MFP a year ago, I mean, everybody was saying, what the hell are you doing, Katun? I mean, seriously. I mean, the whole world was like, what the hell? So there had to be a strategy, and I haven't seen any kind of strategy coming from Katun at all. I mean, they just seem to be another status quo player trying to sell MFPs. I'll talk about that in a minute. But when I think about Fujifilm, I think about a company that probably can build a strategy, okay? And I'm pretty sure that their distribution in America is going to be when they buy Konica Minolta. I've been saying that for a while now. We'll see what happens, but that's really what I'm thinking. And if they buy Konica Minolta, could they just tuck in Katun in that deal? Well, sure, because wouldn't they need, you know, non-OEM toner to put in all those Konica Minolta machines as they wipe them off the planet? I mean, that would be Fuji's strategy, right? Buy Konica Minolta, wipe that brand completely off the planet, replace everything with Fuji, and in the meantime, use non-OEM toner and parts in those Konica Minolta machines. And as far as that goes, Fujifilm could do that in any other OEM they wanted to help a dealer fire in order to take on Fujifilm. So Fujifilm acquiring Katun kind of makes some sense. Katun going out and selling MFPs on their own to try to become some major player in the space doesn't make any sense at all, even though they had a 1-year anniversary. Good luck getting to 2 if that's your strategy. I wanted to start with my conclusion, and this will set the tone for the rest of the episode. In my thinking, leadership at Katun is completely out of touch with the realities of MFP distribution. That leads me to believe that Katun is listening to unrealistic advice. I mean, there's rumors out there that some folks from Konica Minolta are driving the bus at Katun, and I'm thinking to myself, holy smokes, well, you know what I think about that. I have not heard anything from Katun leaders, which leads me to believe that Katun even has a strategy outside of a status quo attempt at participating in an oversaturated marketplace. Folks, you've seen their leaders. They go out there and they do these interviews. Of course, you got to slap yourself in the face every 2 minutes to wake up during the interview. But what are they sharing that's different, that's strategic? How are they going to change the game? I mean, seriously, do we really need another MFP in the marketplace? Our marketplace is oversaturated. Supply and demand is way out of whack. There's way too much supply for the demand. And at the end user level, the product is declining in use. But hey, we're new to the market, we're excited. Doesn't even make any damn sense. So I want to say happy birthday to Katun. I'm sure all the analysts are having a ball with this. Oh, happy birthday, Katun. Send us a piece of cake. I didn't get a piece of cake from Katun, but I'm going to tell you this. Now that you've blown out the candle on the cake, Katun, I think it's time to blow out the candle on this whole program. Unless, of course, you're working in conjunction with Fujifilm and the strategy is for Fujifilm to buy it, then that kind of makes sense. And in that case, I can't wait to celebrate your second birthday, because by that time you'll be in the hands of Fujifilm. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm looking at this press release, and they mentioned they're having a webinar. It's actually today at 10 Central, 11 Eastern time, so I'm hoping to get on that webinar, but I'll try to get this video out there ahead of that so it can help people out. They can watch my episode and then pay attention to that webinar and see if they get any insights from the webinar. But ladies and gentlemen, they talk about Katun in the press release. And listen to this. Katun says they have approximately 8,000 dealer and distributor partners globally. And I'm thinking, boy, that's a lot of partners and dealers and distribution globally. And then I look at their numbers, and I found some numbers for their FY 2023 that were extremely detailed. And ladies and gentlemen, believe it or not, the numbers I'm finding for the current year they're in, FY 2025, lead me to believe that they might actually do less revenue than they did in FY 2023, and that would be with the MFP business that they added to the deal, right? But boy, the numbers I saw, the print business was $163 million. And that was for the export business, their domestic business, which was really small. I'm going to share the spreadsheet with you in a minute. But at the end of the day, ladies, $163 million divided by 8,000 customers is $20,375 a customer per year. Seriously. These are some like really low value customers. Like, what are dealers buying from Katun? What are the distributors and partners getting from Katun? Seriously. $163 million total year revenue for all their export business for the year FY 2023. Are you kidding me with this? And we're going to be the game changing, OEM of an MFP even though you're not really the OEM. But I get it. You know, I did see one of those interviews where your leader talked about how you do specific things to these machines to kind of change them. You know, maybe the color and the buttons are in a different place, but at the end of the day, it puts dots on pages, right? I mean, that's what they do, black and white or color. But I think this is ridiculous for Katun to think they're going to be some major player. So here's some numbers I found in an annual report. This was for 2023. They share 2023 and 2022's numbers. And boy, they get into some real details on this. I do want to tell Katun this. I can't find your 2024 numbers. I can't find your 2025 numbers coming from you. If you want to play with the big boys and be this OEM you claim to be, then you need to publish your numbers like all the rest of the OEMs. You need to have an investors tab on your website, and people should be able to go there, and you should break out all your numbers like all of your peers. Having to dig all this crap up and fight, it's just nuts. Shouldn't have to do it. If you're so proud of this, if you think you're really going to be a major player in the MFP space, you need to show your numbers to prove it. Because what I'm looking at here is totally insane. You know, I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping these numbers are completely wrong. I mean, I miscalculated, you know, the Taiwanese dollar. Of course I didn't, but at the end of the day, I'm thinking, holy crap. But folks, they list it all out. Cartridge of color copier, cartridge of color printer, cartridge of monochrome printers, cartridges of monochrome. I mean, it's all right there. You just add it all up. And when you add it all up for the year 2023, these are the export amounts, comes out to $163 million for the whole year. If you look at 2022 to 2023, folks, the revenue in 2022 compared to 2023, it declined in 2023 by $14 million in the cartridge of color copier category. And I have to ask, was this the Konica Minolta fire bump that Katun got in the year 2021 and 2022 that sold a lot of toner? That's what I heard, that Katun was buying, or Konica Minolta was buying a whole lot of toner from Katun. And if you think about it, cartridge of color copier is over 50% of their total revenue of $163 million. You'll notice on here, nowhere does it show the MFP, okay? But that would be on the, well, some of the 2024 numbers, right? And some of FY 2025, we can start seeing if you're actually growing that number. Again, Katun, if you want to play with the big boys, you got to play with the big boys. You got to present your numbers. Because your revenue at 163 for your export business for FY 2023, that is insane. The company altogether, GPI, because you got that hotel thing going on, or whatever the hell that is, your whole revenue is $174 million for your parent and you in there. That's absurd. Like I said, there's dealers that are bigger than that. And folks, you know, I mean, I did find this. For 2022, $187 million. And for 2023, $174 million for all of Katun. And at the end of the day, folks, these are small numbers. And by the way, if you think about it, they dropped quite a bit from 22 to 23. But here's something even scarier. And like I said, if these numbers are wrong, then I urge Katun to get that financial presentation on their website in the format that all the other OEMs do if they want to be an OEM or pretend to be one, right? General Plastics has come out a market screener. For their first quarter, which ended March of 2025, the total company had $45.9 million in revenue. You know, that kind of adds up to that yearly number I was showing you, right? Well, ladies and gentlemen, you just Google General Plastics Company Limited, GPI. This is what the Google machine's telling me. They got the first quarter, the second quarter, and they're showing, I'm showing first half, $88.5 million for the first half of 2025. Well, if you do the math on that, $88.5 million times 2, they're not going to even beat where they were in 2023, let alone 2024, are they? Because this would be the whole GPI. What's the Katun number? Now that they're selling these MFPs, you see why there's a whole lot of questions to be asked. And I know the analysts out there just want to blow out candles on birthday cakes, but at the end of the day, can we have some questions to these people? Katun is raising their prices. I saw this being published there. It was right on their website. You know, they got to raise their prices. Actually, I congratulate Katun for raising your prices because everybody in the damn industry should be raising their prices. We got the tariffs. We got all kinds of crap going on. Why is it that our industry is the only industry that doesn't raise prices in a crisis, and then we criticize people that do? You're not going to get any criticism from me, Katun, for raising your prices because I think everybody in the industry needs to raise their prices. The problem is, Katun, you can't raise your prices enough, in my opinion, to put you in a position to be a serious contender selling an MFP. Just want to throw that out there. So there's the MFPs they came out with. What's in red is me. That's actually not on their website, even though it probably should be. Was bringing to market A3 hardware the worst advice Katun ever got? That's the question I'm asking my audience, because I think so. I think when they came out with this A3, it shouldn't have been an A3. It should have been an A4. Because at that time, Xerox had not bought Lexmark yet. And Katun, they could have been an answer to go after Lexmark. But they come out with A3. It's totally ridiculous. I mean, what were they thinking? You know, and now I hear they're going to come out with A4. I think you did it backwards. Quite honestly, you should have came out with A4. You might have had a better chance to actually come out with A3, because I don't think you got much of a chance at all sticking around doing this much longer. Unless, again, of course, the strategy with Fuji. You think about all the players in our industry, folks. You see these logos. Think about the size of these companies. Think about Canon, 30 plus billion. You know, the smallest player on the board would be our friends at Rizzo, and they're going to be over a half, 500 million. So they're damn near 3 times the size of Katun. And they're very specific at what they sell. It's an inkjet product in the production space. They're not trying to sell a bunch of MFPs all up and down the street, every single flavor, A3, now they're coming out with A4. I mean, totally insane, right? I mean, Katun's like a lemonade stand when you look at these logos. Seriously. And without a strategy that's different, without some really eye-opening, woo, look, can you believe Katun's doing that? What is that they're doing? What is it that they're doing that's so different from everybody else on the board? If the answer is nothing, we don't need them. I mean, that's that simple. Ladies and gentlemen, I heard they were coming out with I call it the Arriva because I think it's a crazy name, but Arriva 1 million, the big giant machine by Katun. I swear, I heard a leader. This person was a leader at Katun. They're actually still there. But they physically told me to my face, in person, that they were going to come out with production machines next. And right then, I just had to walk away. It was so ridiculous. I wasn't going to have any more of a conversation with the person. I thought it was insane. Coming out with production. So I'm hoping that that's just a big joke. I mean, I'm hoping the person knows what I think about production and was literally joking with me. And then you're never going to believe it, folks. Well, I'm doing my research for this episode, and Katun was actually at Drupa with a booth. They have a division called DPS. You can't even make this up, but it is comical as hell. And they're in this booth selling this industrial inkjet label machine. And I'm like, okay, what in the hell is all this about? And they talked about how all these people were all so excited to see it. I'm really curious how many of these they sold and what are they even doing this. This is so insane. And I really did think this was a joke. I mean, I thought, hey, Ray's going to be doing an episode. He's going to go to the website. Let's throw some stuff out there that will literally drive him out of his mind. Well, if that was your goal, Kate, you sure as hell accomplished that goal, because that is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. They hired an ex-European RICO leader. He's on the Katun bus. Look, at the end of the day, Katun, good for you, but I'm hoping that this leader doesn't talk you into doing IT services. And as far as RICO goes, they had a 1.7% operating profit of $13.1 billion in revenue in their digital services business, which is their MFPs and their IT business. So I'd be really careful what you take regarding advice from anybody from RICO is all my caution to you. I want to end the way I started. In my thinking, leadership is Katun is completely out of touch with the realities of MFP distribution. That leads me to believe that Katun is listening to unrealistic advice. And folks, I have not heard one thing from Katun, one thing that leads me to believe they have a strategy any different than what we see every other OEM doing. And if that's really the case, it won't be a second birthday, in my opinion. And everybody watching me knows this. Status quo is the killer of all to be invented. Don't get stuck there. But don't attempt to deliver MFPs into the marketplace globally, compete with multi-billion-dollar corporations when your revenue is less than $200 million. That would be kind of silly. See y'all tomorrow.